I'd like to talk a moment about metadata. It's not the friendliest sounding word in the world, but I'll tell you, it's pretty cool stuff, and it gives you a lot of information that goes along with your photo. So there are a couple different types of metadata, so let's take a look at what this is. So I'm going to click on an image, and then I'm going to go down to the info button right down here, and we get the info pane. Now, right here, we see two types of metadata. We see what we call XF metadata, EXIF, and that's information that the camera writes to the file when it records the picture. And then there's another type of metadata called IPTC metadata, and that's information such as the caption here. If we had star ratings, that would also be something that we would add. That would be IPTC metadata. Now, in iPhoto, you get this little info pane for the XF data, and there's actually quite a bit of information here. You see the camera. You see some information about flash and white balance and metering pattern. And if you're unclear what those icons mean, all you have to do is just put your mouse over them, and you get a little label that tells you. So flash was on, the white balance was set to custom, and the metering mode was in pattern. You also get the resolution of the photo, how big the file size is, what type of file that it is. In this case, it's a JPEG. The ISO, which is the sensitivity, the focal length that you used. So I was using a 70 to 200 millimeter lens, and in this case, I was at 165. Any exposure compensation you might have used, I was -1 here. Your aperture, and of course, your shutter speed. That's all XF data. That's all recorded by the camera. So it's just there, and iPhoto can read it, and you can get to it, of course, by choosing your photo and then clicking on the info button. Now, as far as the data that you can add, such as caption, you can add that information right here. And you can just type and add that information easily. And then, of course, you have the date when it was captured and the file number itself. Now, we're going to be talking about rating photos in an upcoming movie, and that will fill this out right here. So the main thing I want you to know is that you can see your metadata by clicking on the info button, and that there are two types of data that the camera adds, that's called XF data, and data that you can add, and that's called IPTC.